Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at the first early access version of Atlas Reactor, which is an in-development, team-based, turn-based tactical strategy game being developed by Tryon Worlds. This is a game that I've actually been following for quite some time, ever since it was first announced, but with its arrival on Steam Early Access and the current free weekend that is taking place as of the recording of this video, I thought this was a good time to jump in and take a look at the game and see what it has to offer. And I have to say, thus far, I'm pleasantly surprised by my experience with this game. I was a bit concerned that it might be a bit of a by-the-numbers, been there, done that, turn-based strategy game. But they definitely do a lot of things mechanically in Atlas Reactor to spice things up and make you think about the genre in a bit of a different way, which I definitely appreciate. So what is it that makes this game different from other turn-based, squad-based tactical strategy games you may have played in the past? First and foremost, the turns are timed, and depending on which specific mode you play in, you'll have more or less time to plan out each of your turns. As the level of competition ramps up, going from practice mode to single player to cooperative to competitive multiplayer, you'll have less and less time to ponder your strategies before executing them. Fortunately, the bread and butter mechanics of the game are just simple enough that once you gain a bit of familiarity with the particular character you're trying to play as, it doesn't actually take that much time to plan out your moves. The amount of time given, even when the most aggressive countdowns are used, feels adequate to me, and definitely adds a sense of urgency and immediacy to the gameplay that sometimes can be lacking from games of this sort. So what do you actually do during these turns? Well, each turn is essentially broken up into 4 phases: prep, dash, blast, and movement. And each character in the game has 5 unique abilities that reference one of those 4 stages of the turn. Some characters are heavy on the prep phase, meaning that they get to take actions immediately before the rest of the turn takes place, while others are heavy on the blast phase, which is the combat which occurs just before movement is carried out. The order of events in the turn is always the same, with prep taking place before dash, dash taking place before blast, and blast taking place before movement. So as you learn the various abilities and go-to strategies of each of the characters in the game, you can start to plan counter moves and counter strategies based on what you know they're most likely to do. And that's where a lot of the really interesting dynamics of this game come into play, with each character and group of characters as they're combined in various ways to make 4-man teams, creating all sorts of synergies and dynamic gameplay opportunities that allow characters to play off of and against each other in really interesting ways depending on the group composition of each team and how they stack up against one another. One thing I will definitely say about this game from what I've experienced of it so far is that it does have a fairly steep learning curve, and it's the sort of game that you're really going to want to spend some time with in practice mode and using the lower difficulty settings to really get your head wrapped around the mechanics and the particular attributes and abilities of the characters that you're trying to play as. Every character that I've played so far has had a very distinct and unique feel to them, and it's definitely taken me a few rounds of play each time that I adopt a new character to really grasp the nuances of their abilities and how to best fit them into my particular play style. This is definitely a game that rewards patience and practice and adaptability, and isn't really the sort of thing you should necessarily expect to jump into and immediately have success with. But the rewards for taking the time to wrap your head around all of the various things that are going on in this game, embracing its unique characteristics, and enjoying the satisfying gameplay moments that come about as a result are definitely worth it in my opinion. One interesting thing about this game is that it was initially developed as a free-to-play game, and is in the process of being retooled for a more traditional pay-to-play model. As a result, the game's in a bit of a state of flux in its current early access form, with a lot of the free-to-play geared elements being retooled to fit the new pay-to-play model. As a result, I'd expect to see this game changing quite a bit over the next several months as it works its way through the early access process. For that reason, while I would highly encourage anybody who's interested in what they're seeing here to jump in and take advantage of the current free-to-play weekend, I'd also encourage a bit of caution when considering making a purchase of this game, as it's still pretty unclear exactly how things are going to change and evolve with it moving forward. However, I will say that from what I've seen so far, I believe that the $20 asking price for the base version that grants access to all the key fundamental features of the game seems pretty reasonable to me, and it's something that I personally am definitely considering. Though I do have to say I don't find either of the more expensive pricing options particularly viable given the current state of the game. But as a fan of turn-based, squad-based strategy games in general, a $20 buy-in for something like this doesn't seem at all out of line, assuming that all the pieces come together and the game ends up being fun and interesting in the long term. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, be sure to hit subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Oh, have I got a surprise for you. Better to see you with, my dear.
There's no escaping my clutches.
I've got my sights. Ah. Into the cover of darkness.
Go on, bleed for me.
Going in, guns blazing. Return to darkness.
Intimidation. Luckily constructed.
I cannot be stopped.
Sick of the boy.
No matter where you go, I'll pull you apart. My work isn't done.
Protection protocol activated.
I don't think so. Have my eyes closed. You can't hide from me.
Twisted steel.
I have work to do. Ta-ta.
I am unstoppable.
We will not fall.
Look out below! stay one step ahead.
Fate intervenes.
Catalyst engaged.
Made to order, with you in mind.
I'd like to see you buggers dodge this one.
Oh, you're gonna like this surprise. If you like pain, that is.
Persuasion. Initiating play.
Death from above.
Your blow delivers.
Hiding in plain sight.
Bit of dental work for them pearly whites.
Headshot. What a cock up. I'm gonna take you down.
Defeat.
How many more do they need me to kill?